I stood at the edge of the grand banquet hall, holding a glass I never took a sip from. The lights were warm, the music soft, and everyone looked like they belonged in a perfect story. Except me, because across the room, I saw her, my wife, smiling at another man like the world had quietly erased me from her heart. It wasn't just a smile. It was familiarity, comfort, the kind I used to believe was reserved for me alone. Something inside me didn't break loudly. It simply went silent, and in that silence, I made my decision. I would walk away and end everything between us. I turned before anyone could notice the change in my face. Every step felt heavier than the last, like the floor itself didn't want to let me go. People laughed around me, unaware that a marriage was collapsing in real time just a few feet away from their celebration. I remembered every moment we built together. Late-night talks, shared dreams, promises that once felt unbreakable. And yet, none of it mattered to her smile across the room. My hand tightened around the glass until I felt pain, just to remind myself I was still present. Then I set it down, choosing not to look back again. But destiny, it seemed, wasn't finished with me yet. Just as I reached the exit, the lights dimmed slightly and a voice echoed through the microphone. Hers, my wife. I paused without meaning to. Before this evening continues, she said softly, there's something I need to share. The room shifted instantly. Curiosity replaced laughter. I didn't turn around, but I could feel every breath in the hall slowing down. Her voice wasn't nervous. It was steady, controlled, like she had been carrying this moment for a long time. And against my will, my feet refused to move further. I stood there, trapped between leaving and listening. She began to speak about love. Not the kind people perform, but the kind people survive. I finally turned slightly, just enough to see her silhouette under the spotlight. The same woman I thought I knew now looked different. Stronger, almost distant. She spoke of sacrifices no one had noticed, of battles fought alone while smiling for the world. And then her eyes briefly met mine. For a second, everything around me blurred. It felt like she was speaking directly to me without saying my name. My anger, my certainty. Everything began to shift without permission. Then came the words I never expected. She admitted that the man I saw her smiling with wasn't what I thought. He wasn't a lover, not even close. He was a doctor, a specialist she had been secretly meeting for months. My heart slowed as she explained that she had been diagnosed with a rare, silent condition, one she didn't tell me about because she didn't want to watch her fade away piece by piece. Every smile I misunderstood had been her attempt to stay normal in front of others while hiding her fear. The room went still. I felt my breath catch somewhere between disbelief and guilt. I finally turned fully now, unable to hold myself back. She continued, her voice trembling slightly for the first time. She said she had planned this evening carefully because she didn't want pity, only truth. The truth that she had been preparing for treatments, for uncertainty, for a future she wasn't sure she would get to share with me. And yet, she still loved me enough to pretend everything was fine, so I wouldn't carry her burden too early. My chest tightened painfully as I remembered every moment I misread. The distant smiles, the quiet phone calls, the tired eyes she had behind makeup. I had mistaken her silence for betrayal. My legs felt weak as I stepped away from the exit and slowly moved back into the hall. No one stopped me. No one spoke. All eyes were shifting between us now. She saw me coming, but didn't stop speaking. Instead, she lowered the microphone slightly, as if the truth didn't need amplification anymore. I didn't want him to know like this, she said quietly, her voice cracking. But I also didn't want to lie anymore. The man beside her, the doctor, nodded respectfully, confirming everything without words. My world, carefully built on assumptions, collapsed in seconds. I stood a few feet away from her now, unable to find my voice. For the first time, I saw not a woman I was leaving, but a woman who had been fighting alone while still holding on to me in her own way. Every judgment I made earlier now felt like a wound I had unknowingly added to her struggle. The room remained silent, as if even sound felt inappropriate. She looked at me, not with fear, not with guilt, but with exhaustion, the kind that comes from carrying too much alone for too long. I realized then that I hadn't been losing her to another man. I had been losing her to something she never wanted me to see, and I had almost walked away without knowing the truth at all. In that final moment, everything changed. The anger I walked in with no longer had a place to stand. I wasn't looking at betrayal anymore. I was looking at time lost, words unsaid, and misunderstandings that nearly destroyed something real. I took one step closer, unsure if I had the right to any more. She didn't move away. The hall stayed frozen in silence, waiting for what came next. And for the first time that night, I understood the real weight of love, not in what we see, but in what we fail to ask before it's too late.